Well, good morning, good morning. Good morning to you. And yes, I am thrilled to be back with you as it is Saturday morning again. And if you can hear the sound of my voice, that means you're listening to another edition of the Reading Circle with Marc Medley. We come to you live on Saturday mornings, and we talk to you about, or talk with you about what's going on in the world of reading, in the world of books. You know that over the last couple of weeks, I've actually been off of the air because I was actually traveling. And now I am thrilled to be back with you because I truly missed being with you over these last couple of Saturdays and could not wait to get back to you. My guest is called and he's on the line. I'll introduce him shortly. If you've been following any of my social media sites, you already know who it is. And if you haven't, I'll let you know shortly. But I'll tell you what, we're going to go ahead and get started in our usual customary fashion of reading from our two books, What Can Happen When We Pray, as well as Until Today. I'm going to also give you the weather. I'll introduce my guest. We'll take a short information sharing time, which is like around 30 seconds or so. As I tell you each week, I don't like to say we're going anywhere because we don't. I just share some information with you, and I don't expect you to go anywhere either. So, okay, that's our morning ritual and routine. We're going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and give you the weather, let you know what's on tap for today, Saturday, right here in the Wayne, New Jersey area. It is 62 degrees, expected to be cloudy. We're moving to a high of 84. Tonight, a few clouds, moving to a low of 67. And then for tomorrow, Sunday, thunderstorms, high near 85. 80% chance of rain on tomorrow, scattered thunderstorms tomorrow evening, then mainly cloudy overnight with thunderstorms likely, a low of 69. And then on Monday, a 50% chance of rain, partly cloudy, early scattered thunder on 60. And as we move on into Tuesday, expected to be sunny, along with a few afternoon clouds, high of 80. And then we're going to move to a low of 58. And then on Wednesday, intervals of clouds and sunshine, high of 80, a low of 57, mostly clear skies Wednesday night. That rounds out our forecast. As we can say in church, govern yourself according. Well, I tell you what, equip yourself with whatever paraphernalia you need accordingly to keep yourself dry or warm or cool or whichever temperature you would like to keep your body. Well, I'll tell you what, like I said, we're going to go ahead and read from our two books, What Can Happen When We Pray, as well as Until Today. From the book for today, July the 26th, it says, Surrounded by Enemies. This is out of the book, What Can Happen When We Pray. Today's prayer, loving God, today I feel the pull of being surrounded by enemies. I come to give my complaints and fears to you, to thank you for receiving me, and then to ask you to be a fence around me. I know that no enemy is stronger than you, but sometimes I doubt that you hear me or that you are as near as I need you to be. So today, take my spirit and calm it, and let me see your glory in the midst of the storm. Amen. Today's reflection. Everyone says to trust in the Lord, yet when enemies seem to come at you from every direction, it's hard to lean on arms or depend on arms you cannot see or feel. And yet, the only way to get through enemy territory in one piece is to depend on those very arms. It is maddening. Sometimes the onslaught is relentless and beats us down to a place where we think we cannot survive. But the greatest thing about God's arms is that they specialize in lifting the downtrodden from rough places to smooth terrain in the nick of time. Ask for and expect God's arms to give you a testimony of how you got over. Now, I want you to keep that in mind as we move into our interview this morning, because I told you, it seems in more cases than not that the little devotional or the little opening passages that I start with usually line up with the interview. Now, I don't know what it's called because I told you at this time, I'm not proselytizing, not doing anything, but I do know they tend to line up. Interestingly so. From the book Until Today by Iyanla Vanzant, she says, for July the 26th, I will gain more understanding when I realize I have an ongoing relationship with things I cannot see but can feel. Today's message is a continuation of yesterday's message regarding self-inquiry. Self-inquiry is the process of discovering what is within you that is hurt by what goes on around you. A self-inquiry is a healing process. Self-inquiry puts you in touch with vital information about yourself which you have ignored, denied, or may not be aware of. The third question in our self-inquiry is, what is the memory that is the source of this feeling? In other words, when was the first time I felt this way? If you take a deep breath and call forth the truth of your being, this will be the bingo response. This is the question that will remind you of who it was that first made you feel this way, what the experience was that first triggered this feeling, what you expected or were denied that first gave rise to this feeling, how this situation reminds you of that situation. Armed with information or this information, your healing is imminent. When you remember the first time you felt this way, you must pray. Dear God, I now forgive myself for all beliefs, judgments, decisions, choices, and agreements that have caused me to be attached to pain, hurt, shame, anger, guilt, disappointment, and any other toxic emotions. I ask that you transform what I am feeling, experiencing, and believing into an expression of love so that I may be healed. Thank you, God. Until today, you may not have understood how the first experience of a toxic emotion has influenced your responses to current experiences. Just for today, take the time to go back and heal your mind, heart, and soul of the things which are no longer relevant. Today, I'm devoted to being freed from past beliefs, judgments, decisions, choices, and agreements that trigger toxic emotions. That's from the book Until Today by Jan Van Zandt. And those of you listening for any amount of time, you know I read from those two books to kick off the show. And I'm not one that believes in superstition, but I do know this. The mornings that I read from those two selections, everything else while I'm on the air flows so smoothly. And there's been times when we've been rushed and didn't get an opportunity to do that. And everything just kind of seemed to, keep, things kept jumping up, mistakes or whatever. But I do know when I have the opportunity to kick the show off like that, everything else seems to run smoothly. It is that time where I have the opportunity to introduce my guests. Many of you know I've been promoting this as the show of the two Marcs. You're actually going to have two Marcs on the air with you, one Marcus and one Marc. And he has called in and is waiting in the wings. Many of you, if you're in the New Jersey, Philadelphia, in this area, or been around anytime, you have heard of Brother Marcus. And he is on the Saturday night praise party. And he's on Philly 103.9. It's Praise 103.9. Marcus C. Smith, known to the world as Brother Marcus, is the latest addition to the Praise 103.9 FM lineup. He holds a degree in business management from Berkeley College, a diploma in theology from Urban Academy, certification from the New York School of the Bible, and was a student at Seminary of the East, Bethel Theological Seminary. He was very active within his church in New York as an elder, youth director, former worship leader, and mentor. He was also a substitute teacher for several years in South Jersey. He has worked with various schools throughout the tri-state area on career days and has given many motivational speeches to encourage our youth. The vision that God has given to Brother Marcus is to help people believe in themselves now more than ever before, and to let them know that they are not alone in this journey of life. Brother Marcus does this by giving elements of inspirational words that motivate, encourage, and inspire people in all walks of life to strive to be better and always trust God. Now remember, the two readings from the two books, they're going to connect. I'm telling you right now, I'm reading the bio and you've heard it, but it's going to connect. You'll see. The career notes: former host of the Focus Radio Show, which was heard on 800 AM Wi-Fi Vision Radio. Former host for the ARS Group Television Preview Show. Former host of Backline Magazine Radio Show on WNWRAM. The Elements of Inspiration on Praise 103.9, Elements of Inspiration on 100.3 The Best, Elements of Inspiration on Wi-Fi Radio 1460 AM, Backline Magazine Radio Show on WNWR 1540 AM, on Solid Rock, WPEB Philly 88.1 FM. Elements of Inspiration on 720 AM, The Rock Pittsburgh 88.1 FM Atlantic City, 88.9 FM Atlantic City. The Brother Marcus Show on the Praise House Internet radio station. The Elements of Inspiration Show on Praise 103.9 Philadelphia on Saturday Night Praise Party and Sunday Night Live Praise 103.9 FM. Guest correspondent, Songs of Inspirational segment, television show in Wilmington, Delaware on Channel 28. The future of my good brothers, it is the goal of Brother Marcus to ultimately become syndicated across the country. That's two of us, and it's going to happen. He also has started compiling his Elements of Inspirational quotes for his first book. That's what we're going to talk about this morning. It's currently in the writing phase. It's actually going to be released today. Once the book is completed, edited, and published, Brother Marcus will conduct a book tour, which is kicking off. Brother Marcus has millions of listeners on the radio. He has branded himself as well as the Elements of Inspiration brand to inspire millions. Brother Marcus, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I am well, thanks. More importantly, how are you?
Oh, man, it's good. It's so good to be with you guys today. Hello, Jersey.
I know that's right. I know that's right. And see, as those of you who are listening to the bio, you know that Brother Marcus is no stranger to radio or TV. So we are going to have a blast this morning. I don't expect to have to work too hard because he knows the business. So I tell you.
Yes, a little bit.
Just a little bit, not too much.
Just a little bit.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to go ahead and do what we call, as you know, the PSA, the public service announcements. That's why I tell folks we're not going anywhere. I stopped telling them we were taking a break because I thought they might go somewhere and not come back. So I don't let them know that we going anywhere. We right here. I want you to stay, listen somewhere close to your speakers, get on your social network sites and let somebody know that the two Marks are on the air together this morning on WP 88.7 FM and all around the world on gobrave.org. So you do that while you're listening to the information that I'm sharing with you. Get on all of them. Get on Instagram, get on Facebook, get on Pinterest, get on Twitter, get on Facebook, get on all of them. Let somebody know that we are on the air this morning.
Look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't seen your lap in months. And even more stuff. But still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Yeah. Salad on Saturday, fruit on Friday, throw-a-ball Thursday. Water Wednesday, touch your toes Tuesday. Let's move Monday, swap us next Sunday. 60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. So keep them active and eating well every day. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov. A message from USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
Think carrying 10 or 20 pounds of extra weight isn't much? We went to a park, handed 10 and 20-pound sandbags to people aged 45 to 60, and asked if we could follow them around.
10 pounds makes a big difference. Oh, I definitely felt it in my knees.
A few extra pounds each year can cause joint pain and lead to serious chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease. Wouldn't you like to drop that weight and stop picking up more? Visit hhs.gov/1 pound at a time to find out how. Obesity happens 1 pound at a time. So does preventing it. Brought to you by HHS and NIH.
Listen to Brave New Radio on your smartphone with TuneIn Radio.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
That's right. Yes, indeed you are. You are listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley. We are with you live each Saturday morning from 6 o'clock a.m. to 7 o'clock a.m. with the Reading Circle, and then we move on into our gospel music as well from 7 to 9 with the M&M Hour from 7 to 8, and then 8 to 9, Martha and Friends, where we play the good news in song, which is the gospel music, which is the same music that Marcus plays on Saturday evenings at 6, as well as on Sunday evenings. So, Marcus, again, welcome to the Reading Circle with Marc Medley.
Oh, thanks, man. It's good to be here with you guys. I'm excited to be on. I mean, this is awesome, man. I appreciate you allowing me to come onto your network. You know, this is a great show.
Well, thank you very much. I truly appreciate that. And again, it is the aim or the objective of this show is to get people to read more, because as an educator, I truly believe that reading is the foundation of every other subject. So I try to bring as many topics of interest as possible. So whenever I saw all your work going on LinkedIn and everything, all the other sites, I said, I got to see if I'm going to reach out to this brother and see if he wants to come on the show. And as it turns out, when we spoke, you were sharing with me that your book is actually being released today.
Yes. And, it's going to be everywhere. And, my thing is I just want people to be encouraged and inspired. That's really the purpose for the book, you know?
I know that's right. Well, I tell you what, we're going to roll the tape back a little bit, and because I see your bio, I read your bio, shared that with the audience. Tell me a little bit about where did the whole writing piece begin, because certainly you're into communications, the fact that you're on TV and the fact that you're on radios and communications. Where did the writing part of it begin? Was that something you liked to do as a child, or where did that come along? More as an adult, or how did that come about? That's where I'm going with that question.
Well, actually, my mother, she was a writer and is a writer. And she used to write poetry, so I've always been around, prolific writing, concerning her. But as I grew up, I really wasn't looking to be a writer. I was just trying to inspire people. That was really it. But there was a gentleman who introduced me to the public many, many years ago. And, during that time, he said to me, listen, man, you really need to put out a book. And then another young lady who lives in Los Angeles, her name is Tanisha, she worked for various companies, Inside Edition, E! Entertainment, and Motown Live. She's done a lot of background work. And being friends for years, she kind of heard, was watching the messages that I was doing. And she said, listen, you need to put out a book. She was willing to help me out and everything, encouraged me, and, a few other people started saying the same thing. These inspirational quotes and messages are powerful. You need to, you need to write a book. So it was kind of everyone encouraging me to write a book. And when I got the strength to actually do it, that's when it all started, falling into place.
I know that's right. Encouragement is so important. I don't think people realize just how important it is. Two forms of it. There's the form of encouragement that you get from others who are pushing you on and cheering you on. And then there's that, like we have in the Bible, where David has to encourage himself. Then we have that self-encouragement. And you really need to have both.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's important that you have good people around you that are telling you, what God is trying to say to you, because sometimes, when you have a lot going on and your mind is clouded, it's hard for you to hear what God is saying. And sometimes God will send a message through a messenger or messengers, so we can get the full picture of what God is trying to say to us.
I know that's right. I know, and it's interesting because I'm looking at your bios, and ours are very similar in terms of church lives. I mean, kind of like, it looks like you grew up in the church same way I did. I've been there since birth and have served in the various positions similar to yours. And it's funny how both of us are on radio, both of us are getting the message across, and how you just said that in terms of God uses us as the messengers, or God uses us as the tools. So certainly he's used you in terms of television, he's used you in terms of radio, and now he's about to use you in terms of the book world.
Yeah, which is always amazing and shocking to me that, God would use me. Because sometimes you feel with certain, certain, things that God allows you to do or have, you feel like, Lord, am I really worthy of this cause? But when God puts us in certain positions, it reminds me of that Spider-Man movie with, when Peter Parker's grandfather said to him, with great power comes great responsibility.
That's right.
So sometimes I feel like, am I Spider-Man or something? What is going on?
I know that's right. But that is very true. And it's funny that you would bring that up because last week I was away. I was doing some study up in Boston. And one of the presenters said that very same quote. With power comes a lot of people think, just, whenever you have gifts or you're blessed with things, that gives you something to lord over other people. And that's not true. If anything, it's just a reverse. The more you have, the more you ought to be giving and serving.
Exactly. To whom much is given, much is required.
No question. So, all right, I tell you what, I'm going to work our way back to the book writing and everything, but the fact that you're a colleague in the radio and television, I just want to kind of get a feel for how did that all come about, especially based on the fact that you have a business degree, because I have a business. I'm laughing because we're so similar in terms of experiences. My business, I have a BA in business administration as my undergrad, and then communications for grad, and another one in grad in education. But it's just interesting because my story in radio is, I know, totally different. I don't know if yours was planned or not. Mine was not planned per se, but it was one of those things, how they say, you speak it into existence. My being on the radio was just from writing it in a journal and speaking it into an existence, and then God kind of did the rest. It wasn't even expected. But I don't know. Did you want to be in the radio, or is that what you intended to do, or did it kind of just fall into place?
Well, I've always dabbled in radio in my earlier years, but it wasn't like I was like, I want to do radio. In actuality, it kind of snowballed into this. It kind of developed, God let it develop that way, because initially, before getting into radio this go round, I was homeless.
Wow.
I was homeless, and I bought a phone, a little prepaid phone. I'm not going to say what the name of the company was because they're not endorsing me right now. But we, I bought a prepaid phone, and because I needed to keep communication with family and friends, and while I was struggling,
right.
And that's something that I could afford. So what I would do is, I would just write little inspirational quotes, but I would just kind of save them in the phone for myself. And then one day, God pressed it upon my heart to just send it out to like the 20 or 30 people on my phone. Just send it out. So I did just that. So I did it for about a week, and then after a week, one day I just stopped, and a gentleman, his name was William from South Jersey, he texts me right back, and he says, hey man, what happened to that message this morning? I really needed it. It's really helping me. And I texted him back, hold on one moment. So I prayed, God, give me a word. God gave me a word, and I sent the word out to him. Well, within like 30 minutes or so, I get a text message, matter of fact, a phone call from a prominent radio personality at the time from a hip-hop and R&B station, and he goes by the name of Pooch Man. And he reached out, and he said, hey, man, this message was powerful. He was like, this is really good. And he just kind of, talked to me. And he said, listen, I want you to do this for my millions of listeners on my radio show. And I'm like, yeah, right, this guy's going to clown me, make me look real crazy. But he was really serious. So he calls me back at the top of the hour of his show, just as he said he would. And he says, what do you call these quotes? And at that time, I just didn't know. I was just like, elements of inspiration. Now, remind you, I'm on a hip-hop and R&B station.
Right.
And he said, where does this come from? I said, God gives it to me. You know what I mean? I believe in God. Like, I didn't care what style of radio it was. I had to stand firm on what I believe. And it wasn't like he didn't judge me or anything. He was just, like, powerful. And so he said, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the good brother Marcus with the elements of inspiration. So he tagged me, the good brother Marcus, and I just made up the elements of inspiration right there on the spot. And he said, go ahead, Doc. And I went and I said my quote for the day. So that's how it all got started with me, getting into radio. And it was just 30 seconds. No, I think it was like 15, 20 seconds, 15, 20-second quote. And that's how it started, and I got to tip my hat to him. Thank you very much for giving me that major push, that major start.
Well, I'm sitting here like jaw dropped because, like I said, mine was your story's about like mine. It's in terms of, and I don't want to take our time here on the air to share it. But whenever we're offline talking one day, I share. But you'll see whenever we talk, and maybe I will take the time just because there's a couple of things in terms of encouragement. You just said something about being homeless. And now you've gone from homeless to television and radio and doing your thing and writing books and so forth and so on. Somebody in this listening audience needs to hear that regardless of where you are, that's not where you have to stay.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
And so just when we talked, we hadn't said anything about being homeless, so forth. I didn't know that history. But again, someone needs that in and of itself is encouragement for somebody to say, wait a minute, if Brother Marcus can make it, if he can go from there to there, I can do it. If, he's with God. If that's the kind of God he serves, I want to be with that God. Somebody in this audience is going to take that into their spirit. So, let's talk a little bit. Well, what is it like for you to go from now? I mean, just listen to that story from going from I'm just doing something on my little cell phone to that was my big break.
Mm-hmm. It's, what's it like? It's surreal in so many ways because it was just I was only just given a inspirational quote. That was all I was trying to do. That was it. Nothing more, nothing less. It was only supposed to be for me at first, and then for me and the people in my phone. I did not expect it to go, from me, one person, to 20 to 30 people in my phone, to hundreds of thousands, to millions. I wasn't expecting all of that. But
see, again, that's a testament to what God can do.
Yeah, it's all God's fault.
That's right.
Definitely blame God for.
That's right. That's right. I know that's right. Well, I tell you what, those of you in the listening audience, I hope you've been with us since 6, but if you haven't, you're listening to the voice of Brother Marcus. Brother Marcus has joined Marc Medley here on the Reading Circle this morning, and we're just kind of, going back in time a little bit to see kind of like where it all began. I always like to do that behind the scenes historical to let folks know that folks just didn't get to where they are without going through something to get there. No one just plopped. No one, even the silver spoon people, they still had to do something. Because a lot of people, Marcus, they look at people at a certain place and say, gee, I want to be there, and have no idea what they went through to get there.
Right.
And so I like people to know what people went through to get where they are. Like what you see is not what they went through.
Right, exactly. Some people think that this is easy, being in radio. Oh, that everything is fine. You're a millionaire, and all. It's not what it's laid out to be. Again, this is work. I happen to enjoy. I happen to enjoy this. And I happen to enjoy what I do. You know what I mean? And that's the big thing. And I know that it's bigger than me. It's all about God.
Right.
Period, point blank, hands down. And that's where it really stems from. It's really all about God. God gave me a word. If God said it, I believe it. That's all there is to it. I'm going to march with it. And even in this business that I've been in thus far, some people are amazed. Like, how did he do it? He's not perfect. He's got all these issues in his life. He's got this happening, and he's not well churched, so to speak. And how did he excel? But what a lot of people, I won't say a lot, just a couple people. What some folks really don't understand that I've been saved 35 years.
Right.
I've been saved 35 years. I have a relationship with God from the time that I was 8 years old, 1979, July. You know what I mean? It was Friday the 13th, 1979. So I've been running with Jesus for years, So all because I might not, come across and pontificate like the Pope and adjudicate my thoughts and be super intellectual or super holy and spiritual does not mean I am not. Does not mean that I am not connected to the authentic, true, and living God.
I know that's right.
So sometimes people always have something to say because when you're an orator, a speaker, some people they don't know your path. They don't know your past. When I was in school, in elementary school, I used to have a speech impediment. I used to stutter. I used to talk with a lisp, earlier on. So when I open up a mic or I crack that microphone or a microphone is before me or there is an audience, I begin to just speak because that is a gift that God has given me. And I never really clicked until later in life that this is your gift, to be able to speak, to inspire, to encourage and motivate. And some people take it the wrong way. Some people get upset, they get jealous. When we do work for God, it's not even about jealousy. Come on,
this is true. No,
we have to.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Again, I can see this is going to be going, because I told you whenever we were off air early, whenever we talked a couple of weeks ago, I have the flexibility that if the interview needs to go beyond 7:00, we can do that, and I can see already this has the potential for that. Because again, the story you're talk about elements. You're introducing elements that are encouraging from the fact that it was a trial. From the fact that now you're saying, okay, first you share with us that you were homeless, which being transparent is very inspirational as it is too. Then you went on to say, as a child, I had a lisp or a stutter or a speech impediment, whatever it was, one way or the other, but yet you've become a speaker. I mean, I'm sitting here, I'm listening. Whenever you were talking the whole thing about not being perfect, what came to mind was David. And then what came to mind when you were talking about speech impediment was Moses. And so it's like, and God did it for them. And certainly I'm listening to that God did it for you as well as he's done it for me and many others out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the thing is, sometimes, we're a mixture of a lot of these biblical figures, Some of us are being crucified execution style like Jesus.
Right.
Some of us are having a lot of faith where we can walk on water like Jesus. Some of us will have the Samson complex, be very strong and confident, but have a weakness.
Right.
Like Samson.
That's right.
So some of us carry lots of traits. There are some of us who become that are like, the Saul, the Paul, the Saul, we're crucifying other people, we're judging them, we're, and tearing them apart. And then when we make that, not 360, because a 360 is a turnaround. I'm talking about a 180.
That's right.
You just about face. You know what I mean? And when people see that you're no longer doing the things you used to do, and now you want to, fight and do the right things, people are looking at you with the side eye. You know what I mean?
That's right.
One eyebrow up, one eyebrow down, like, show you're right. But on the flip side, the Bible says, basically, is saying a prophet is not accepted in his own home. So sometimes you have to leave where you at to get the message out the way it needs to go.
This is
Go
true.
ye therefore to all nations.
I know that's right. Well, again, if you've joined us, this is Brother Marcus, and we're going to be talking about his book, Elements of Inspiration. I'm going to share some more information with you. And just as whenever Marcus was speaking, you see, I had the microphone off. I was on my social site saying, get on gobrave.org now, because Brother Marcus is speaking with me. So I encourage you to do the same, and that is to get on all your sites, or even if you want to text somebody, because he was talking about texting. And I will tell you this, since Brother Marcus and I met, he has texted me each morning with a word of encouragement. So he's not just telling you something to be telling you, and I receive his texts. And it comes every morning. He sends a word of encouragement. He's doing just as he says. So let somebody know that Brother Marcus is on the line with me. Use your social media positively. Use it for something worth something, and not just gossiping about somebody or trying to tear somebody down. Do that for the next 30 seconds or so, or next minute or so, and then we will continue on with this lively discussion with Brother Marcus.
Yes.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is Stan Myers, and I'm here at FM 88.7. I do a jazz show called Just a Mood. And if you like the music, anything from Louis to Lester Bowie, I'm your man. That's Sunday afternoons, 3 to 6. Looking to hear from you, okay?
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
Yes, indeed, you're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley. As I share with you all the time, we come to you live each Saturday morning while I'm in town, and that's most of the year. This year's been an extremely heavy travel year for me. I think I've not been on the air more times this year than in my entire 13 years combined. So I look forward to being with you each Saturday morning, and I have been looking forward to this one, particularly since I was off the air for 2 weeks. I told Marcus when we talked a couple of weeks ago, you're going to be my re-entry back on the air after being off for 2 weeks. So I definitely was looking forward to this show. I knew it was going to be, as the kids can say, on and popping. I think they say something else now, but they used to say on and popping. I knew it was going to be one of those type interviews just from our phone conversation. And again, I do encourage you to tweet somebody, text somebody, let someone know that we're on the air together, because again, you may hear something during this conversation that would be just what you need to go on a little further, that will make you, as there's a song that says, I feel like going on. This, something can be said here between me and Marcus. And as he said earlier, this is bigger than just me and him. Life is about making life better for others, and there's different ways of doing that. So the fact that you may be listening to us on the internet or listening to us on the radio in North Jersey, and you may hear something that may give you that inspiration to move on, that was designed. That wasn't happenstance. So let somebody else, because you never know, someone else may be missing out on something they might hear by not listening. And of course, we want ratings, we want listeners, but more importantly, you need to hear this message, because you just heard Brother Marcus say I was homeless. You heard Brother Marcus say as a kid I had a speech impediment. You heard Brother Marcus, and he's going to say some more things before the hour or two is out that may encourage you, because it really is about encouragement. So we know Brother Marcus is on television, we know he's on radio, and now he's written a book called Elements of Inspiration. I shared with you right before the information sharing time that he does indeed text with words of encouragement. And it's funny, Marcus, because my pastor, what he started doing was the same thing like with prayer. We started doing like in Prayer Emphasis Month, tag somebody in a prayer like that. In other words, every day it'll be someone different, just to let them know that you're praying for them or you're thinking about them. And people may not realize, but little stuff like that works.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's the little things. The Bible is very clear with do not despise small beginnings. So it's the little things that mean a lot.
Well, the funny thing is, a lot of times when people have this vision or this perception of God that he always speaks in thunderous and large, huge, mountain moving, when the fact of the matter is he may very well speak to you in a text message.
Oh, absolutely. I believe that, God, as Fred Hammond once said, God is speaking to us in a today generational voice. So I would almost use the phrase coined by Malcolm X, just the phrase, by any means necessary. God will get to you by any means necessary. Sometimes it could be that thing that you're struggling with that God will send a message through that thing. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Or through a person. While you're sitting down getting ready to go have a drink at the bar, and somebody comes in and happens to just be passing through and passing out a Bible tract, or, something awkwardly, strangely weird would occur because God operates on his own timetable and does what he wants to do, but he will get your attention, I
know that's right, because I share with the listening audience all the time, and I went into it earlier with the readings. As you heard me, I read from these two books. I've been reading from these books now for years because they're daily perpetuals. They don't have a year associated with them, just the date. And more times than not, something either I've gone through in the week or something that I'm going through, that passage on that Saturday morning when I read that will leap right out at me and speak to me. It's like, wow, and then it will connect to whatever I'm talking about with the guest. And I've seen that happen more times than not. And I'll tell folks all the time that, again, that wasn't by happenstance. That's why I know there's something, for those who are not believers, if you're listeners, we're not judging you one way, but I know there's something beyond just us here on earth. It's something because there are too many things that human beings could not have orchestrated, that it has to be something beyond just us. And Brother Marcus and I, we We believe in God. We believe in Jesus. And I'm not ashamed to say that on the air or what have you. But that's what we believe in. I don't know what you believe in, but that's what we believe in. And we're not ashamed to say that. But again, it is something beyond just the human realm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Something far more than we can fathom. You know what I mean? Far
really?
More.
It really
Absolutely.
is. So as you now come up with these inspirational thoughts, if you will, and I know they come from God, but then you take them out now and I know you have them on, I've seen on your webpage, as well as I know you tweet them and I know you text them, but also I'm sure it comes out throughout your broadcast, throughout your radio show.
Yes. On every radio show, I at least incorporate, one inspirational quote, because I try to keep it soft and simple and, direct, but not in your face like I'm, Bible thumping.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Not hitting you over the head with the Bible. That's right.
Right, because again, that's one thing that I've never done. I will never do.
Right.
Because God didn't design me that way.
That's right.
God will use each of us in our own thought process and personalities, and I just kind of take things the very simple route, and I'll just say, well, here it is, and you can accept it or reject it. I don't even really want to know whether you accept it. I mean, I do want to know, but I'm not like, you can take this word. But I'm just like, well, here it is. Because I've had some people reject what I've done. I've sent a message because I'm on all social media sites. Right. So I'll sometimes, just go and whoever shows up in my social feeds, I'll say, let me just send this message to them. And I've had people that have gotten really nasty and mean, and I don't respond.
I don't
because
blame you.
If it's for you, accept it. If it's not for you, reject it. I'm the same way. If you give me something that I don't want, I'm going to reject it. If you give me something that I need, I'm going to take it. So, not every time that we're going out doing these services for the Lord, that everybody's going to accept them. Sometimes, like the Bible says, dust yourself off and keep it moving.
I know that's
so I don't
right.
take offense to it. I don't take offense.
Well, it's amazing because the world is so filled with negativity. And then when you do get somebody that's trying to do something positive, a lot of times it is frowned upon, interestingly enough. Now, I can remember years ago, whenever I was working in corporate America, we had a security guard. His name was Milton. I don't know if Milton is still alive or not, but he was the nicest man. And when you came in the door, he would be sure to greet you with a big good morning. And Marcus, don't you know that I'd get on the elevator and hear some people grumbling like, who is he to tell me to have a good morning?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one of the things I often say, like, because I make appearances and host shows and events, and one of the things that's always ironically funny to me is I'll get on stage and I'll say, oh, look at you, women are so beautiful and God has blessed you, or this is in front of everybody, and I'll say, oh, it's a very nice dress, or you're very pretty. But that's just my personality.
That's right.
And people sometimes get offended. And I'm like, wow, I'm complimenting you in front of hundreds of people, right. And I'm complimenting all of the women all at one time. So when I get on stage, hey, ladies, you look wonderful, you look beautiful, and somebody gets offended. And I say to myself, wow, would you feel better if I said you were ugly?
That's right. I mean, it's like you can't win. I mean, it's kind of like we're trying to throw out there, as Stevie Wonder call it, positivity. And you still have folks complaining. Exactly.
Well, I mean, but that's just, the ironic thing about life. But that's life, you know what I mean?
It is. It really is.
When you're doing something that everybody else is not doing or what folks should be doing, whatever you're doing anything you're doing, somebody's not going to like it. Not everybody's going to love it, but more times than not, I have more friends of the show, right. Fans of the show, of what I do, or people that appreciate what I do more than the negative lashback. So I just praise God for it, because there has to be a balance. If everybody likes you, there's a problem.
That's right. This is
if everybody doesn't like you, there's a problem.
That's right. That's right. You do need a little of both.
Mm-hmm.
So I talk to me about. No, go ahead, and then I'm going to ask you about transitioning into the book.
Oh, no, go ahead. We're fine. We can keep this train moving. Transitioning into the book. I'm ready
in terms of, because it's one thing for us to be talking, it's another thing for us to be in front of the camera, it's another thing to be behind a microphone, and then yet there's another thing to be getting it down on paper and then going through the publishing process. Talk to us a little bit about once you've made a decision. You know what? Folks have been telling me I'm going to write a book. God's telling me to go ahead and write it. I'm going on and doing it. What was the process like for you?
Wow. Well, this is the funny thing. The process for me, once the decision was made, like, okay, Lord, I'm going to do it. I mean, the thought's been there for years with the encouragement and stuff. But once I said, oh, okay, I'm going to do it, because I'm not a publisher or an author per se, I am now. But, I just had this one thought. All of my inspirational quotes, I'm just going to put them in a book, and that's it. And so when I got with one of the publishing companies were like, no, that's not going to happen. You're not going to throw inspirational quotes in a book, And I'm like, right. What? So they had to give me some direction and say, you got to put more meat on the bones than just giving an inspirational message,
That's right.
So that's pretty much how everything kind of changed when I sat down with them, and they were like, this is how it's done. This is how you do it. So I was like, okay, not a problem. So that was like the only transitional part, like the hard part, is putting my thoughts together differently than the way that I've been thinking.
Right.
Because they looked at things from a marketing perspective, selling book perspective.
Correct.
So it's mixed with, some short stories or portions of my life. And also it has, the Word of God in there. So we kind of designed it where it's a, 31-day devotional, more like a, something to help you. It's a help aid.
Absolutely.
Definitely not trying to replace the Bible by no means. Never that. But this is just something that people and the listeners and the readers could kind of get an understanding of my life and see that my life is not much different than anyone else's. But it's an encouragement tool to help you, but always directing you back to the Word of God.
No question. And it is really funny. Like we talked a couple of weeks ago and we were talking about this whole notion of celebrity, if you will. And I've met the big names. I mean, from Colin Powell to, Felicia Rashad to, I mean, you name it, I've had an opportunity to meet them. And one of the things I've always been more attracted or drawn to the ones who are human and down to earth and realize that there would be no star if there were no fans. And then I've met those that were very snobbish and thought they were all that and then some. And those are the ones I generally get turned off from, because truly in my mind, look, there would be no such thing as a star if it wasn't for those who were the fans. I'm not one of those that, oh my God, I can't believe I met him, I'm never going to wash my hand again. I'm not one of those. No, because for me, human beings are human beings. I mean, I will respect what you do. But again, many people have this notion that whenever you're doing something in radio or television, that there's all this fame and everything surrounding you. So the fact that you said, you know what, I'm just an ordinary guy. I'm just like anybody else. I mean, and that's the same. I mean, it's like I'm on radio every Saturday morning, albeit it's not syndicated. It's not this, that, and the other yet. It's not one of the big boys yet, but it's on that way. But even if it was, I would still be the exact same way. That would not faze me. I mean, that kind of stuff, what you do as your job or your calling, doesn't faze me to that point where it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I shook hands with, oh my God, I'm standing next to. It's not about that. It just really is not. And the fact that you just said, you know what, I'm just an ordinary guy. If you see me on the street or in the barbershop or wherever you see me, I'm just like if I wasn't doing this.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I do appreciate, the notoriety and recognition and, people coming up and saying, hey, what's happening? You always kind of appreciate that. But at the same time, you never let it go to your head.
There you go.
And
Bingo.
think that when you think that it's all about you, you become self-sufficient and independent of God, and that's where things get a little shady, So, yeah, I do appreciate being recognized and people saying that you've done, I love your radio broadcasts and your inspirational quotes. Those are always good things because we all kind of need to be built up because I could be having a day that's not going the way that I would want it to go,
Right.
And I run into someone that says, oh, my goodness, your message was powerful, or you were funny on the radio, and it makes you feel like, wow, somebody's listening. And that's like a little boost for you, too. So you always appreciate those things. So, yeah. And I like a lot of people. They like to take pictures, and so that I love. I'm like, I'm like Diana Ross in Mahogany. Picture.
I remember meeting Isaac Hayes, and Isaac said, "I will not do autographs, but I'll take a picture." That's how Isaac said, "I'm not signing anything, but we can take a picture together if you want to."
Yeah, that's always cool. You know what I mean? So that's always cool.
But it really is, and I'm not saying in terms that you're not a preacher, because you really are. You know, when folks, but I'm talking about those that, like you said, get into that slippery slope of thinking it's about them and not the fact that God gave them the gift. That's the ones, like when they get to that point where it's all about me and I'm self-sufficient, I'm self-made, and forget you and I'm all. That's whenever I have problems with that. I mean, when anybody, because truth of the matter, we could be up today and down tomorrow. And vice versa. I mean, it's like you can be down today and up tomorrow. I mean, clearly when you're telling me you was homeless and then to where you are now, that's a testimony in and of itself. For those of you who joined us, that's Brother Marcus. He's on the line with me. We've been talking, and we're going to continue to talk for a little bit more. But his book is Elements of Inspiration. And so you're saying it's like...
it is out today. My book is out today, America.
You have heard it launched here on the Reading Circle with Marc Medley. It's funny because when we talked on the phone, he said, the book is going to launch on the 25th. I said, that's the 26th. I said, no, it launched yesterday, the 25th. And I said, well, the 26th is the interview, so that means we got first dibs.
Yeah, absolutely. First dibs on the interview. That is it's a powerful thing. First weekend. So I just appreciate it. You know what I mean?
I know that's right, because you're heading out on book tour, right?
Yeah, we're working on that right now as we speak, scheduling everything, and just excited about it.
I know that's right. Now, 103.9, that's down in the Philadelphia area. I'm familiar with the station because I used to do some work down on McGuire Air Force Base. And whenever I was down in that area, I used to tune in to the Philly stations down there. So, and that was one of them. So, I mean, let's talk a little bit about that. What is it like, being on like 103.9?
I mean, it's cool. I mean, I've been on there for 3 years, and it's been a great experience. Worked with a lot of great people, made some very good friends along the way. And like I said, when I got there, that was a big transitional point in my career, where a lot of people were just like, "Oh my goodness, this guy is on one of the biggest, stations in the area."
Right.
And so, I mean, that was good in terms of association as well. And by people, tuning in and checking out what I do, a lot of other people wanted to connect and work with me. So I'm on various stations. My Elements of Inspiration is on various stations across the country. So big shout out to all of the other stations that support the Elements of Inspiration, that take the quotes and play them on all of their, networks. Big shout out to Lady Halima and Lady Halima Ministries. Love you for real. We work together. We do a lot of radio shows together. I'm a feature on her show. And so, yeah. And big shout out to Solange Rice Prince. She's joining me with the Elements of Inspiration Mix show. So that's, big shout out to her.
I know that's right. Do you have the book anywhere near you?
You know what? I don't have a physical copy, but I do have something in front of me.
Well, I'm talking because I'm just gonna say, share with us one or two of the elements of inspiration, or one or two of the quotes that you could share with the listening audience if you have it somewhere near you. I had a
sure.
Yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say, because if you have something, I always like the audience to hear it from the writer's mouth. I always say I hear it from the horse's mouth, because you all, whoever wrote it, know the inflection, the tone, everything that you put into it when you were writing it. So I always love for the listeners to hear it from the person who wrote it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm pulling it up right now, but I am so unprepared.
No, because
I love this because it's live radio, and I always tell people, live radio is the best. You hear me?
It really is.
When you make a mistake, a bloop, or blunder, or slip, or whatever, it is what it's going to be.
Well, you're right.
I will share one of my favorite inspirational quotes. And I don't. This did not make the book, but I'll share two of them. One of them is you are champion winner, all-star player, greater than an MVP. Your birth gives you the right to play the game of life, and you've been called to win because you're a champion winner, period.
I know that's right.
One of my favorites. And another one of my favorites is don't let someone else's understanding of peace upset your peace and leave you in pieces.
Oh, that play on words.
Oh, yeah, man. Like, I had a friend, I used to do a lot of rap music growing up. And I'm not ashamed to say it because it helped me with my speech impediment.
Right.
And so one of the things that I've learned is to appreciate wordplay, words. And one of the things that he said in his song is peace is not the word to play. Don't talk about peace when you live in a violent life.
That's right.
So he was like, peace is not the word to play. So big shout out to Large Professor, man. How you doing?
I know that's right. But again, in terms of, it's funny, you said this one didn't make the book. How did you decide what made the book, or did the publishing company decide that for you?
We kind of worked together because you have to remember that they're looking to structure the book for 30 to 31 day devotional
Correct.
Quotes. And I sent them over maybe 1,000 or something crazy. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And I just sent it to them and said, there you go. Fish out the quotes. And I know for them, they were like, whoa, Nelly, So, I was a piece of work working with the
you say, there you go. Just pull them out. 31 out of 1,000. Just pull them out. There you go.
Yeah, just pull them out. And the funny thing was, as I had an influx of more. Like, that was like Kara, and you have to forgive me because I used to listen to a lot of rap music when I was younger, so I am influenced by certain quotes. But Karis once said, this is a piggy bank. This is 1 penny. This is 1 little penny. I'm giving you 1,000 quotes. That's nothing compared to what we have in the Stevie Wonder vault.
I know that's right. Yes, indeed. And again, they are, because I'm big on affirmations. I really am. I mean, if you ever come to my office, you'll see I'm surrounded by all kinds of scriptures and quotes and affirmations and everything like that. Because like you, I agree. There may be some down moments in there that you have to read something on the quick that might just lift you up. I mean, the same thing. That's why the whole texting in 2014 thing worked, because it pops up on your phone and you see it. Like whenever you text me in the morning, I see my phone chime off and I go look at it. Okay, that's Brother Marcus. He sent me a text of encouragement. And I think the first couple of times I said, I know that's right. I responded back. And then I said, okay, this is something he does on a daily. So I'm just going to go ahead. Every now and again, I'll respond back. And if I don't, I think he understands. But I figure you're sending them out to, hundreds of people.
Yeah, and listen, check this out. And I often tell people, because some people, they feel connected, and some people want to respond to every one of them. And I'm like, no offense, you don't have to respond. Just read it for what it is. And if one of them really stand out, you can say something, because I'd like to know sometimes.
Right.
And because some of the quotes really speak to you right where you are at that very moment. However, if everybody was to respond to me, I think I'd probably have, I'd probably get upset.
Yeah, it would blow your phone up.
I got to use my phone to make a phone call. Yeah. So sometimes it's okay, but there's times when it's like I'm trying to send out, all of these messages, and I'm getting a lot of texts back.
Right.
But I appreciate it. Either or, I appreciate it. But responding, I tell people you don't have to respond. You're not hurting my feelings if you don't. So I'm just, I'm thankful that anybody's reading them.
There you go. That's it. And the thing is, because I tell people all the time, in terms of even the show, I don't know how many people are listening. I know I have one listener, probably 2 for sure. That's my wife and my mother. I know those 2 definites. Beyond those 2, I don't know, but I tell folks all the time, if nobody else is blessed by it on Saturday morning, I am. So just the fact that we had the opportunity to chat and talk. So it's this kind of the same way when you're sending out a lot of times something, you really don't know who's reading or who is not, but you're planting the seed. And if nothing else, the fact that you're giving it, you're being blessed by it. The fact that that's the one that came into your mind, that means you're being blessed by the fact that you were the one giving it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's blessed to be a blessing.
Yeah, it is. It's just, again, the Bible says, I'm paraphrasing it, but, you cannot help but be watered if you're giving the water. It's that whole thing in Proverbs about you can't help but, be watered as well. And I'll have to look it up because it's one of my favorite ones in there in terms of the verse itself. But basically what it's saying is there is no way you, as the person who is giving encouragement, don't become encouraged. And that's paraphrasing it in its simplest form. You who are giving encouragement, there's no way you can't be encouraged because you're giving the encouragement. So it's reciprocal. It works both ways. And that's why, it is a blessing for, and that's why, in all honesty, Marcus, that's why I don't understand people that's constantly negative. And I do understand, people go through things and people are jaded, people are bitter, but I have a hard time wrapping my arms around it, just staying like that constantly. It's one thing to be like that for a little bit, but to just stay like that regardless.
Yeah.
Like no matter how much encouragement somebody's trying to give you, it just doesn't faze you.
But you know what? I often say happiness is a choice.
Yeah, it is.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's like salvation is a choice, and there's happiness in salvation. And we have to remember that, there's a strange balance. Like, we're going to have some people that are, people are who they are based on their experiences, situations, and circumstances. But sometimes they have the ability and the power to change it by the renewing of the mind.
Absolutely.
It's all about the renewing of the mind. The Bible clearly talks about that all the time. The mind is a battlefield. It's a playing field and a battlefield depending on your perception. But whatever we put in here, that's why it's powerful. And I often say, anything that your mind can conceive, if you believe it, you can achieve it. And it's so true. If you put in negative thoughts, I'm never going to make it, you're going to start to really feel that way. All right, let me back up a little bit. I'm going to explain the Trinity from my understanding. It's very simple. Some people get it all mixed up and don't understand. But when God created us, he said, let us create man in our image. What does that mean?
Correct.
And so who was God talking to? And this is the simplest, most simplistic way to understand the Trinity that a baby in a diaper could get it. God is the Godhead. He is the mastermind. Right. He is the brain. He is the Father. All right? So God thinks it. Okay? Jesus is the Word. He is the Word. So we speak it. And the Holy Spirit is the movement. So he moves. So we're created in God's image to think it, speak it, and do it. If I say, I'm going to be successful, I say I'm going to be successful, then I start working towards being successful. That is being created in the image of God. And that's from the Brother Marcus' perception. I mean, some theologians might disagree with me, but I think I'm pretty much on track.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to take that think it, speak it, and do it along with me. I'm going to take the Brother Marcus theology. But it's so true. The think it, do it. The three you had there, think it, speak it, do it. I mean, it really is. And if really folks truly understood that, we would be a lot further than we are, because many people just don't believe that. And it's funny you were saying how happiness is a choice. Last week, again, when I was in training, one of the presenters said misery is an option. And she said that straight off.
Listen, I have a quote that goes with that. I like what she says, misery, it is an option. But I say, misery loves company, but we're not invited.
I know, and to tell you the truth, I don't want to be invited. I'm all right with that non-invitation.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want that, Mama. I don't want that.
You say misery loves company, and we're not invited. I know that's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know. I tell you. You're in radio, we're at the top of the hour, so there's a couple things I need to do. I'm going to take a hard break in a minute, but hang on. Don't you dare move. Those in the listening audience, let somebody know Brother Marcus is on the air, and we're having a good old chat. And hopefully you are being inspired by it as you hear us on the air. You have the two Marks, but I'm going to do what I need to do for the FCC. We need to take a hard break. I'm a couple minutes over, but that's all right. We're close enough. So I'm going to do that and let you know what's going on with the weather again, and then we're going to continue on with our conversation.
Hi, we're Pescadora.
Hey, this is Alexandra Kelly.
Yo, we're talking to plants.
I'm Secret Mountain.
Hey, we're Have a Good Season.
Hi, we're Everything Ever. Hey,
we're The Swim.
Hey, we're Ashes Terrain. You listen to
WP 88.7.
88.7 Brave New Radio. Are you brave enough?
WPSC-FM 88.7, Wayne, New Jersey.
Part of the William Patterson Broadcast Network. Brave New Radio.
Straight from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center, here's your local forecast.
Okay, right now we are at 62.5 degrees. Haven't moved much since I entered the studio. Expected to be cloudy early with peaks of sunshine. Expected late, high around 84. We have a 10% chance of rain today, moving to a 20% chance of rain tonight. A few clouds, low of 67. And then for Sunday, tomorrow, thunderstorms, 80% chance of rain, 85 as a high, moving to looks like a low of 69. Expect scattered thunderstorms tomorrow night as well. And then on Monday, variable clouds with thunderstorms, especially in the afternoon, high of 82, moving to a low of 60. 50% chance of rain during the day, 20% chance of rain during the evening. Then on Tuesday, except for a few afternoon clouds, mainly sunny, high around 80. 10% chance of rain, low of 59. And then for Wednesday, intervals of clouds and sunshine, high near 80, dropping to a low of 58. That is the weather. Equip yourself accordingly. And now we're going to go back to an extended version of the Reading Circle where I have with me Brother Marcus. And Brother Marcus is a communications journeyman between radio stations and TV stations. And now he is the author of the book Elements of Inspiration. So, Marcus, okay, so Elements of Inspiration. You have a book tour coming up. You're planning that. What are we were talking about think it, say it. How'd you say it again now? You said you got to think it, speak it, do it. That's it, right?
Yeah, think it, speak it, and do it.
Think it.
It's really think it,
right?
Speak it, and do it.
And see, I was telling you earlier, that's how I wound up sitting at this seat that I'm sitting in right now. And I've been here, praise God, for the last 13 years. But that's exactly because at one point, I don't journal as much as I used to, but at one point I did a lot of journaling and I was doing like a bucket list. It wasn't even called bucket list at the time. It was just called write down things that you want to do before the end of your life. And surely I had in that journal that I wanted to host a radio show and to be on television. I wrote it down in the list, didn't give it another thought. A few years later, I was the campaign manager for a friend of mine who was running for school board, and this particular station was one of our stops on the campaign. And they had a sign hanging on the bulletin board that said, "Do you want a radio show?" Now, this is where I need everybody to connect when we talk about that think it, because I did the thinking it when I wrote it down. When I got into the lobby and I saw that sign that said, "Do you want a radio show?" I was because my friend was in the booth. I was outside in the lobby. So I'm out there, Marcus, going, "Yeah, I want a radio show. Yeah, I want a radio show." I'm literally out loud saying, "Yeah, I want a radio show. I want a radio show." The sign says, "Do you want a radio show?" "Yes, I want a radio show." Marcus, about a week later, I ran into somebody that was up here, and he said, now, just like you gave the shout out to the person that started you off, for me, it was Art Bean. I run into Art at one of the local schools, and he says, "Why didn't you call me?" And I said, "Call you about what?" He said, you said you wanted a radio show. I put one together for you." So he said, I met you. You were a teacher. I've been looking for somebody to do a show on books. And I thought you'd be perfect for it. And I'm now looking at him like he was crazy. I said, "You're serious?" He says, "Come here, this address. I'll show everything, the proposal and everything." Sure enough, I went to Art's house. He had everything laid out. Matter of fact, when the show first started, it was called Power Readers. That was the original name of the show. It was Power Readers, and I was on Friday nights and Saturday nights from midnight to 1. And then that was my open. Wow. And literally, I had no experience in terms of the board. I mean, I did communications, I did speaking, but I had no experience with the board. And I come in here in the studio with Art, and he throws me on the air. "Ladies and gentlemen, Marc Medley, host of Power Readers." And the rest, as they say, is history. But again, this is back. The thinking it was whenever I wrote it down in the journal. The speaking it was whenever I spoke it here in this same lobby outside of the studio. And then the doing it was whenever Art wrote the proposal and got in here, threw me on the booth and said, "Go." So I'm saying all that to say you're absolutely 100% correct with that thinking it, speaking it, and doing it. And it works the opposite as well. If you go in there saying that you can't do something, guess what? It won't be done.
That's right. That's right. You know, and we have to go in confidence in everything. You know what I mean? God is very clear with how we think. He's very clear on how we need to operate. So, you know, the Word of God also says, do not be unequally yoked. Do not forsake the fellowship of the what? Believers. So we sometimes have to surround ourselves around people that are going to speak encouragement, that's going to help us follow our dream or help us with our dream and our goals and our aspirations. But God also, this is the beautiful thing, the most beautifulest thing in the world, as Keith Murray would say. This is it. The Bible says God would put the desires of your heart. God puts desires of your heart. He'll give you the desires of your heart. So some of the things that we want to do is we're already pregnant with that concept, that idea. We're already ready to give birth to it. So sometimes God will implant it. You know, God gives us the desires of our heart. You know what I mean? He puts certain things there because there's something that he wants your personality to do to reach people that no one else is going to be able to reach people the way that you can. Your audience is designed. God designed an audience just for you because your biblical, spiritual, intellectual acumen separates you from certain mindsets where you can reach people who are on a very different level of thinking, where somebody who's not as spiritually equipped or academically sound, they won't be able to reach them in some cases.
Oh,
you know,
man,
but he gave you certain things already. You know what I mean? That's why this radio show is doing so well. That's why this radio show is doing what it's doing. You know, because God designed this thing for you, and he put it in your heart where you could start thinking it, speaking it, and believing it, and now you're living it, and now you're passing it off, and you're helping other people while you're doing it. It doesn't get any better than that.
Oh, I know that's right. I tell you, man, I love your way with words. When you say biblically, spiritually, and intellectual acumen. I love words. I really do. I mean, when I was teaching, I taught language arts, and at the college level, taught public speaking. I love words. I hang on words, so I get.
Well, you're gonna love this, and this is no offense to you, but did you know that I was a high school dropout?
See, again, this is a part of your story, though. This is a part, again, of that encouragement, because there are some people that believe that at their lowest point, that's where they must remain. And you know the enemy, that's one of the tricks of the devil. That's one of the tricks of Satan, Lucifer, the enemy, whatever term you want to call that negative force. That is one of the tricks, is to make you believe, A, you're the only one in the world this ever happened to. Secondly, that if you're down, you got to stay down. That's why Donnie McClurkin came out there, we fall down, but we get up.
Yeah. And you know, I always reference a lot of mainstream artists, secular artists. I do that constantly because I kind of need to bridge the gap, that some people are almost close to the mark, even though they might not be where we want them to be. But there was a recording artist by the name of Aaron Hall. He has a song called Stand also.
Right.
And it's a very inspirational song, you know, similar to the Donnie McClurkin. Donnie McClurkin is more popular with his song. But for those that are, you know, still in the R&B world, or really, you know, not there to hear the gospel in its in its entirety or in its fullness from a Donnie McClurkin, you can still be encouraged by the song by Aaron Hall called Stand. I was just listening to it last night, so it's ironic that you would mention that particular song by Mr. Donnie McClurkin. What's up, Donnie? How you doing?
No, that's right. But it's true, and again, I would not. That is not something to like be ashamed of or look down upon or have to apologize for, because you have to get folks to where it's almost like my pastor says, you know what, we're to be fishers of men. You know, we fish and God will do the cleaning. All right. So whatever bait you need to get the fish to come where you need them to get to, so if rap is that bait, then use it. If the secular music is that bait, because I use that as well, because I mean I'm a musician also. I not only do the radio and the teaching thing, but I'm also a musician. But I play jazz. I played gospel for like 30 years, playing for my church choirs and everything. But my 2 CDs are jazz CDs. So I mean,
you have 2 jazz. Listen, man, I know we're on your radio program, but when you get a chance, we need to talk, because I want to get your music to the Firehouse Cafe. They have a radio show as well, all jazz.
I
They
know,
have,
that's right.
yeah, so I want to get those plugged in. You never know, you might be able to come down this way. Well, I know the owner of that station. So,
all right.
But because I know you play jazz.
I do. As a matter of fact,
jazz records.
the music that's playing in the background, that's my CDs. That's what I use it as background music for the show. So the music that I don't know.
Check it out. We're gonna make it. Well, we're gonna make it work. How about that? We're gonna listen live right now. We are all the way live, North Jersey. You hear me? Live on 88.7 FM. You heard it right here from Brother Marcus. We are going to make this connection. His records will be played on another station because it's jazz.
I know
that's
right. So again, the think it, the speak it, the do it.
There you go.
But there it is right there.
See?
But yeah, the music that's playing in the background, that's my CD. That's what I play every Saturday, is background music. And but back to my point, you use what you need to use, and once you get them there, then God will do the cleaning. So for some people, and I'd say this just about every week, particularly when I have Christian authors on, for some folks, because a lot of times, Marcus, I have Christian authors that have some racy stories. And a lot of time they get ostracized by their fellow congregants and members in their churches because they have sex scenes in the book, this, that, and the other. And I always tell them, usually, because at the end of usually Christian books, there's a redemptive message. And I always tell them, a lot of time for some people, and we talked about this a few minutes ago, hitting them with the Bible is just not going to work. Now, let's just be real. And sometimes the only Bible that people will ever see is our lifestyles. And sometimes you have to get them to the Bible through rap music. You have to get them to the Bible through a racy sex scene in a Christian novel. Because a lot of times people will listen to that and say, you know what? Listening to that and seeing how that played out in that particular book or that story or that rap song, I want to know more about this God that they came to. I want to know more about this lifestyle that they wound up in. If it's at the end of the story and it's a redemptive message or whatever. Because a lot of times people will say that, you know what, that's me. That song was written about me. That book was written about me. And because I talk to authors all the time and I say, did you ever have anybody come up to you and say, child, you were talking about me? And 9 out of 10, they say, yeah, we have.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the most powerful thing is a testimony is one of the most powerful tools that we do have. You know what I mean? Because we want to, I believe in being as authentic and as genuine as possible and not to be, so highly minded that we're no earthly good.
Absolutely.
And that's a danger, I really believe. But, I believe in, like what you're doing, the way we connected. You're just so authentic and so real about what you do, so passionate about, what God is doing in your life and how you are connected to your community. But that's the thing that we miss out on. One of the things you said to me, and I hope you don't mind, but
I don't mind at all.
There was a student that you were referring to, and you kind of got to know them, and found out what church that they go to, and you're really serious about what you do and staying connected and being authentic. People wouldn't share anything with you if you're not real, if you're not authentic, and because of your position in the community, people are willing to open up to you. Because they see your living testimony, you're a walking example of God. But if they didn't like you or something was weird, they wouldn't share. They wouldn't share portions of their life with you. So I tip my hat to you. You know what I mean? Continue to do what God is calling you to do and be inspired and continue to inspire others. And I can't wait to get that jazz CD.
Well, I tell you, if I have them on MP3 links, so I can email them to you today. And I can certainly mail you the hard copies also. That we're going to definitely make happen. Probably, like I said, MP3 link-wise, you can have those before the day is out.
That's what I'm talking about. I know you want to talk about me in the book, but I'm sorry. I'm a bigger fan of others than I am of myself.
Well, I know that's right, but that's why it works. And again, one of the reasons I was so excited to have you on the show is the fact that you're trying to encourage someone else. And I don't know, and I know for you it's the same way as it is for me in terms of it's just something about when someone comes back to you and say, you know what, it's something that you said that made me do this. Or, you know what, had I not talked to you that morning, I don't know this or that. I mean, my pastor tells a story about one of his pastor colleagues that had somebody that came to his church would come every Sunday and just kind of sit in the balcony, wouldn't say anything, would just kind of sit there. And one Sunday, the woman came up to the pastor and said, I just want you to know that when I was sitting up there in that balcony, each time I would leave here, I was considering suicide. But it was something you said on this particular Sunday morning that made me want to stay alive. And the woman became active, had no more thoughts. So you just never know. I'm sharing that story to say you never know what seed you never know the text that you send may keep somebody from committing suicide. You never know that text that you sent. I mean, right. You just never know that text that you send may keep somebody from killing somebody else, not just themselves, but killing somebody. That text that you send may turn somebody around from, they might was going to do drugs or they were going to do shoplifting or they going to do something, but they saw that and said, I don't know what it was, but something about reading those words stopped me.
Yeah. Powerful stuff. Powerful.
It really is. And now you're putting it in book form. Because now not only will people get it in a text, not only will people hear you on the radio or see you on TV, but they're going to have something they can physically have in their hand or either download on their Kindle or whatever. Which, matter of fact, brings us a wonderful segue as we get ready to come to the end of the interview in terms of what are the different formats of the book? Is it going to be an ebook as well, or is it a hard copy, soft copy? This is your chance to promote the book. In other words, as you know in radio, we can say anything with the exception of the price, but anything else, you're free to say. I mean, in terms of where you're going to be, where the book signing is going to be, how can you get a hold of it, website, so forth and so on. So for the next 5 minutes or so, the mic is yours.
All right. Well, first of all, big shout out to you, your wife, and your family, especially your mom. Tell your mom I said hi.
Oh, I'm sure she's down in Louisville, Georgia, listening.
And thank you guys so much. They're doing a great job with you and encouraging people. Well, one of the things is, my book will be coming out, it's actually out now, but you can go to, it should be up on brothermarcus.com. We have a new website getting ready to come up. We have one out now, but you can follow me on social media at, on Twitter, BRO Marcus, MARCUS, BRO Marcus. Follow me on Twitter. You can also follow me on my Facebook page, which is Marcus C. Smith. That's my personal page. Or you can follow me on my other page, which is Brother Marcus, Elements of Inspiration Radio Show. I'm on a lot of social media. Or you know what? I'm Googleable. You can Google me.
He is. So that's right.
You can follow me that way. But the book is available now. It's going to be, soft copies coming out. You can also get it. I'm going to get this information because somebody asked me this. I had someone tell me the other day from Philadelphia, you need to know everything about your book. You need to know everything about your book. And you know what? She was absolutely right because my mind is all over the place. And I'm like, that's not for me to remember. That's for the book company to remember.
That's for the publicist. Yes.
That's for the publishers. That's not for me. But you can definitely go to any of my social media sites. You'll probably see the address. It's from GGIS Publishing. That's George, Ingrid, Sam. GGIS Publishing. You can get it from them currently. Download the book right now. You can purchase the book right now. It's readily available. And if you want me to come to your events, your high schools and things of that nature, can I give out numbers or no? Because I don't.
Yes, you can give out numbers. You can give anything except the price. You can give anything except the dollar amount.
Okay, yeah. All right, well, not a problem. Well, if you want me to come to your city, all you have to do is call 856-712-0777. That number is 856-712-0777. You can have me come to your events, and we also have a few other numbers I'll give you. Another number you can text me is 908-777-1521. 908-777-1521. You can leave a text message. Or visit me on brothermarcus.com. You can leave a message there. We're going to stay connected. We're doing a lot of great things. I cannot wait to meet with Marc personally, y'all, because we're going to create something where there's like a Marc and Marc moment.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
That's probably going to be incredible. But definitely stay connected with me, and I want to stay connected with all of you. And once again, Mark, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your radio show here with you today. North Jersey listeners, I love you for real, and I will be in your town, and we're going to do this. Big shout out to Reverend Pastor Bobby Moore out there in North Jersey. Big
That's
shout out
right.
to you, man. And Martin L. Smith, Minister Martin L. Smith. What's happening, man? These are my North Jersey friends that have a lot of northern exposure.
I know that's right. Well, Mark, it's funny, because whenever my wife was pregnant with my children, I was in the name book every night because I was into that whole meaning of names. And I don't know if you know what the definition of Mark and Marcus is, but the definition of Mark and Marcus is warrior. So you are an inspirational warrior.
There you have it. There you have it. So now tell this to the devil. Now, how you like that?
I know that's right.
How you like me now?
How you like me now? That's what I said President Obama said when he got reelected.
How you like me?
I told my wife and everybody whenever that election was over, I said, if I was President Obama, that's what I'd have come out on, was Cool Mo D's How You Like Me Now. That's right.
Yeah.
But I know that's right,
Wow,
but it has been a true blast having you. I can't believe an hour and a half has gone by that quickly.
Yeah, and you know what? We both got to run. You got inspirational music that needs to be played. I think I talk too much, but I definitely got to go. I'm going to make some surprise visits out here in the southern part of Jersey today, and I'm going to hang out with in Philadelphia with Tommy from Martin. Remember?
Oh yeah, I remember. I
Martin?
met Tommy years ago. How is he doing? I have a picture of him hanging in my office. It's me and him, and at the time my daughter was about maybe 1 or 2, and that's at least 17 years ago.
Well, you know what I'm going to do? Because I have an interview with him tonight, so I'm going to get his information, and I'm going to get him to get in touch with you. I'm sure we can work that out.
I know that's right.
And,
now you're on tonight at 6, right?
No, actually, I'm going to be doing some other stuff. I'm on a little hiatus from one of the programs.
Oh, I hear you.
But I'm still doing all my other. I have another show that I got to do in about an hour and a half.
Okay.
So I got to do the Elements of Inspiration mix show, and then I'm going to be making some appearances, and then tonight I'll see Tommy over at this big event in Philadelphia, and so it's a crazy time.
I know, but that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's all good, man. And before I leave, I just want to say I want the copy of that jazz CD. Stop playing.
I told you, man. You had that before the night is out. All 2 CDs, all the MP3 links, and then I'll work on getting you the hard copies of them.
All right. Do you also go out and play live and stuff like that?
I haven't, but I was invited to do something near the end of August. Oddly enough, from my church, because I haven't played there in a long time in terms of choirs, and a lot of the members was like, we want to hear something that, we want to hear you. So they've requested me to do something near the middle or the end of August when I get back from vacation. So I'm working on that now. Because they said we wanted to hear some of your jazz CD. We know you play the gospel. We know that because you played for the choirs here. But we wanted to hear something from your CD. And that was another example. And I know I'm pretty much out of time, but that was another example of what you were talking about. That think it, speak it, do it.
Speak it.
Because that same week, I was in my office because I have my keyboards and everything in the studio, and I was down there playing around. I put the tracks on, and I was down there fooling around. My wife came in, and she said, I forget what she said, but I looked at her. I said, oh, I'm just down here pretending. I said, you know how when an artist go on stage and the first few chords of a song, the audience knows what it is, and they like go crazy and start screaming and carrying on? So I had done that. I had done that scene, just played the first couple chords in the song and just kind of screamed like, ah! Like everybody knew what it was. And I said, that's going to be what. And that next week, matter of fact, I think it was that next day because that happened on a Saturday. That next morning, that Sunday, the minister of music at the church said, I need to see you before the end of service. And I'm like, well, okay, what does Ron want now? And I'm thinking maybe he needs me to fill in. He's going to be absent or something. So he says, we're looking at doing like a jazz brunch like around the end of August. And a lot of the members said they wanted to hear you. So I'm sitting here like, wait a minute. I just talked about this with my wife yesterday. And but that's again another one of those think it, speak it, do it type things. I'm gonna put them 3 words up around me: think it, speak it, do it.
There you go. I mean,
and I'll give you the credit for it.
I give God the credit because God said, let us create man in our image. And, in the image of God, he created man, male and female. So, and I truly believe that's really the design of the example of the Trinity.
Right.
That's my personal opinion.
All
So
right.
any theologians out there, do not call me talking crazy or sideways. And my name is Brother Marcus, Elements of Inspiration, www.brothermarcus.com, and I approve this message.
I know that's right.
America,
Well,
God bless.
have a wonderfully blessed day, and we will be in touch.
All right, you got it. Good night. Good night. Good morning,
Good morning.
everybody.
All right, now. Take care.
All right.
All right. Bye now. Well, that wraps up a fun version of the Reading Circle. That is Brother Marcus. His books is Elements of Inspiration. And I am sure, because I'm going to get my copy of that book, because I love those type devotional type books, especially, and he said it's a daily. So you never know. I may work his now into the Saturday morning routine, because I love daily devotionals that don't have a year behind it, because for each day of the month or each day of the year or whatever, you can read that as your thought or word for the day. So, all right, we're going to continue on. The good news and song will be on momentarily. Don't you dare move.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
This year, firefighters like Fire Chief James Hall will battle wildfires around the country in hopes of containing them. But firefighters can't do it alone.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile, or it can ignite and destroy your home and community.
Get fire adapted. Learn simple steps you can take now to reduce wildfire damage later at fireadapted.org. A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council. Learn more at fireadapted.org.